This is the executive show. It's brought to you by Yellow Sack. Try a dumpster bag for easy waste removal, less mess, reduce stress, budget friendly, clean freely. Call 833-3YELLOW or go to yellowsack.com. What's up, Bob?
What's up?
Happy New Year. Yeah, Happy New Year.
Yeah.
All
Happy New Year, guys.
All right, let's start with I'm going to ask you a big picture thing in terms of the organization, and I'm gonna play this sound that Klay Thompson had after he scored 54 the other night. Just listen to this for a sec.
I definitely am more relaxed than I was in the beginning. I think in the beginning I was just so eager to be back to those big nights like tonight and proving whoever wrong that I'm still great. And now I just it's going by so fast. We're almost at the halfway point, and after this year, there's only 1 year left on my deal. So it's I just told myself, man, I got to enjoy every day in a Warriors uniform. This is such a incredible position to be in as defending champions, and to see the banners we've hung and just the brand that's been built here. I mean, I just had to remind myself daily, this is literally a dream I'm living, and what matters most is just having fun and playing hard. All the numbers, all the big nights will come as long as I do those two things.
Bob, it feels like kind of Klay hasn't been the only one with that perspective since you guys came back from your trip. Do you sense that something's changed?
Yeah, I mean, him, for one, he's a big part of us, and especially with Curry and Wiggins out. So that was interesting. I hadn't heard that. Somebody smart once said, if you can be grateful, you can't feel much negative if you're just grateful for whatever you have. And I think a lot of what he was saying was, whether it was the past of accomplishments or being able to play basketball or play as well as he did that night. So that's good that he can say that, because part of our struggles were some of his struggles, and a lot of the winning now has been because of him getting through that. And so that's really nice. I mean, it's nice to hear. You get so caught up in the what's next stuff and proven society or social media wrong that you can get sideways. And he seems like he's in a place now where he's gotten through some of that. And professional athletes are so scrutinized these days that I don't think the public, baby media knows better how much it affects guys. I don't think it's the same as it was, Matt, when you were writing for the Contra Costa Times, and if you wanted to tune it out, you just wouldn't subscribe or you wouldn't read the Chronicle. Easier to do now, easier to do then than now, where you've got everything either in your pocket or in your hand, and the criticism is, or praise for that matter, is sitting right there. And that's a different animal that I think athletes now probably would admit, or consciously or subconsciously, that's a hard thing to get your head around. So he seems like he's in a good spot, which means he's going to help us, which he really has. That's a big part of why we've won some games.
Bob, let me ask you this. I was out a couple weeks ago, and you shared with Steiny that Draymond had called you, and, he wanted to speak to the team. Steiny always messes with me because I call myself a sports romantic, to where I believe, Bob, in the halftime speeches and the coaches and guys that get in your ear. But 38 games in, I think it's fair to say, Bob, whatever happened or whatever was said in that team meeting, it's worked. And that's why this team is showing signs. What would you say to that?
I would say it's too convenient for that to be everything, Guru. I would say that's a big part of it, though. I think to say it's everything is a lot, like anything. It's like saying Curry's the whole reason. Well, he's a huge reason. But that's demeaning his teammates that have done it with him. But yeah, that Draymond, I think what happens in maybe life, relationships, what we are is just a bunch of people that are pretty closely connected playing a game that's highly emotional. So where does that end up? That usually ends up with people showing their worst. Like I hear you joke about playing pickup. I don't really know you, Guru, but I bet if we played pickup, and I played with Matt, I have played with Matt. But you find out about somebody. You do a lot. Are they selfish? What kind of teammate are they? Where's their ego? How competitive are they? How do they lose? How do they win? When we're walking off, are you blaming me? Are you blaming your teammates? Are you saying you guys got to get me the ball? And I'm telling you, dude, you haven't made a shot in like 3 games. Why would you even say that? So you find out everything. So that's all we do here is exist in that space. And it's pretty emotional. And so when things are unsaid, it's more damaging than actually putting things out there. Now, the challenge is these days, you do anything and it's public. It wasn't always that way. That Draymond speaking to the team, and I think JaMychal mentioned it, and it's fine that it's been mentioned and it's public. Those things are necessary. Just like in any relationship you two guys have where somebody, you might have a show where Matt says something, you say something, it's bugging you. So after the show, you go, hey, man, that's bugging me. If you don't say that, it's not too long until you guys aren't working together.
Right.
Because, and that's Draymond. That's what he is for us. He says what needs to be said, but you have to risk bothering people. Most people don't do that. And that's why he's won 4 championships. And Steph and Klay and these guys are winners because that's part of winning is getting uncomfortable. And I'm sure he's as good as any I've ever met at meeting an issue head on. But you have to risk pissing people off. And so that was helpful for us. It was definitely helpful.
That's interesting, Bob. And we're joined by Bob Myers, President and General Manager of the Golden State Warriors, joining us here on 95.7 The Game. Let me ask you this, and I just want to kind of ask you about the emotional roller coaster, or if it's like a Richter scale. So just tell me, like, the seriousness. Okay, early, you get off to a 3-7 start, and I mean, look, I'm watching, and you're watching, you're probably thinking, oh boy, this isn't good. Uh-oh. Hey, come back, start making something happen. Then you go on that trip, and that trip, you start thinking, you know what, maybe we don't have it this year. Maybe, you know what, maybe we got to do some things. Maybe this, that, you're starting to make an assessment, and now here we go. You won 5 in a row. Of course, you still got to, win on the road. But my point is like now do you think, you know what, we got as good a chance as anybody? You know what I mean? Like, and depending on where you are at a certain time, you may make a move that a month later or earlier may not have needed almost.
I think the hardest thing in what you all said is we're pretty impatient now, people, probably more than we've ever been. Download a song, I want it right now. Netflix, I'll stream and watch 10 shows, or call me back. I called you 10 minutes ago. Why didn't you call me back? The same applies to the impatience in professional sports. And so I'm like you. I listen to you guys. I hear what you say. You say they're never going to win it, and then a week later, well, maybe. So
that's Steiny, Bob.
Do that stuff too. Yeah. Well, good. But you know what? There's a lot of people like that, and I wish I was more that way. I wish I felt a little bit more. Probably good for me in the job I'm in to not get too emotional, which is just more my nature. But what you have to exercise and you learn is patience. And then you get into the why of it, Matt, as far as why are we losing these games? For what? Are we less talented? Because that's a problem. Is there some other issue beneath the surface? Is there health issues? Is there injury? Is there some kind of argument? Is there some kind of reason? What's the why? But if there's no obvious why, then you hesitate to do anything drastic, because you do look around the league and you do have these games, whether it's Boston at home or Memphis at home, where they mean a little bit more as far as how you measure your team. Not that every game means the same in the standings, but there's certain games where you want to measure up and say, do we have enough to beat this team in our conference? And you keep a close eye on those games, and you try to discern what you can from them. But we're like you. I mean, Steve and I talk all the time, and we have our ups and downs with it. Probably we're a little more measured than a fan would be. But you have to look at what's the reason. It can't just be I'm upset. That doesn't really get you anything. Or we got to do something. That can't be the end of the conversation. Do what? And that's where most people, I don't know, but we got to do something. And it's kind of like that's not a very smart way of thinking. So we do it too, and I'll come on in 2 weeks, and this is probably the first time I've came on. We've actually been winning.
Yeah.
I've come on the show.
Yeah, you've had bad luck.
I've gotten screwed. I told the coach. I told Kerr every time. He always calls me literally while I'm on with you guys, and I go, "You screwed me, man. You can't win again." I mean, but the last two were San Francisco Giants stuff, which is the whole other thing. But anyways, yeah. So that's what we do.
Bob, I got to share this with you. My youngest son, I can remember his first at bat in T-ball, and I enjoyed it. But I just watching that moment, I was like, Will he play in high school? You know, I was hoping because I love baseball, and I got to be there for his first at bat in high school, and time flies. I ain't got to tell you that, but I was like, man, just enjoying the moment. I've loved Kuminga from a physical standpoint, and I've said it to Steiny. I love Wiseman, but when you see something on a court or on a field and it just looks different, you know, you kind of just like, man. And that takes me to my new favorite, Bob. PBJ, 6'9", 220, and the jumper was coming off his hands like Paul Pierce. And I'm just saying, can you walk us through your first time seeing him? And I know it's about back-to-back, and he may have a minimal, you know, role. But, Bob, I think you might have something.
This is great. You know what? I need more people like you.
Just call me, Bob.
I know Steinmetz always kind of reins you in, but your passion for this stuff and positivity, it's pretty good. What happens when I asked Draymond one time, and you're different than him, but you're both pretty passionate guys. We were going into Game 7 at home in 2016, and he looks at me and he goes, "Don't worry, we're going to win." He goes, "We got it. Not a problem." So we lose. So I'm 12 hours later, I'm sitting across from him. It's just him and I in my office because you're doing the exit interview. I said, "Hey, man, when you told me we were going to win and we didn't, I go, how does that work with you? I mean, you knew we were going to win and we didn't win." And he kind of starts laughing. He goes, "Man, I just thought we were going to win." And so I think I don't say that stuff because I'm scared of being wrong or I don't have that confidence. But it's fun to hear someone that, you know, PBJ, you know, get that excited because I know your partner, he just drags you back down
all day long.
He's not going to help him this year. He's a rookie. He ain't gonna do it.
Why would you say that, Guru?
Oh, that's pretty funny. Bob Myers joining us. It's the executive show. He joins us every week. Either he or Zaza Pachulia. So let me requisite question about Steph. You know, you guys got a 5-game road trip coming up after these next 3. You think he'll play on that trip?
I hope so. He's going to get evaluated this weekend, and he's working out on the court, and that would be the 2-week mark to evaluate him is this weekend. But there's been no, at this point, setbacks or anything like that. So that would be what the first road game is on Friday. I think it's San Antonio. That would be a hope. I mean, that would we'd be shooting for, something in that range where he could be back because he's been not contact but out there doing all his stuff, and he looks like the same guy. He's got a sleeve on his shoulder and his arm, but that would be the plan. We got to see what he looks like this weekend, though.
Bob, how about Wiggins? I know a lot of people, I don't take it for granted, but, you know, we're waiting for him to come back. How's he doing in regard to his illness?
He's well, you said it the right way. He's not hurt mechanically anymore. He just got sick right before he came back. Anybody with kids right now listening, I mean, everybody seems like they're sick, and he's got 2 young kids, and everybody's household probably has someone that has recently been sick or is sick right now, and it's no different for these guys. And what people are getting has been pretty brutal.
Yeah.
It's not just a cold, the 24-hour flu, people just call it. This doesn't seem to be that. And then when you're an athlete and you get taken out for a couple of days, maybe in the years past, you just throw a guy back out there. They don't do it that way anymore. People are ramped back up and probably smarter than we were at the time. But now when a guy's out, you got to get your cardio back up. And I think the reason for being cautious with that stuff is to prevent other kinds of injuries where you're not quite right and then you pull some other muscle and you're back to where you started.
Bob Myers joining us on 95.7 The Game. He joins us every week. You know what, Bob? I just figured something out.
Uh-oh.
And you know what? You can blame your guy, Raymond Ritter, for this one. I'm predicting Curry will be back for San Antonio. You heard it here first. And I'll tell you why.
You're doing that.
Huh?
Okay.
I'll tell you why.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So Raymond Ritter gives me a call today because he likes to touch base before the executive shows, maybe throw an idea or two. And he goes, "Hey, you know about that game at the Alamo Dome?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's right. Goo, do you know anything about what I'm talking about?"
When he hit the walk-off.
No. So you don't.
No. That's right, Bob.
Bob, bear with me. You know the story. It's the Spurs' 50th year in the NBA.
Right.
So they're playing a game at the Alamo Dome.
Oh,
not in their normal arena because they're trying to set the all-time attendance record for a single game. I think it's 62,000. They're trying to get 65,000 there. They've sold 50,000 tickets.
Love it.
Yeah, I dare you to sit Curry out of that game if he's healthy.
Yeah. So you're deducing from the fact that
Yes.
they need to sell. We're going to get Curry out there, even if he's not healthy, to sell the tickets. Is that where you're going, or are you just?
You mean Steph wouldn't do that for the people of San Antonio?
Well, I mean, yeah, he'd do it. You know the guy. He'd do anything.
No, but
as long as he can lift up his left arm.
That's true.
He'd be out there going.
That's true. No, that's
going to be fun, though.
Definitely.
That's going to be fun. That'll be a fun game.
Bob, let me ask you this, because every time you come on, we always talk about, a sports team with the free agent. Did they get him? Did they not get him? And Monday Night Football, I mean, man, it was a horrible scene with DeMar Hamlin, and thoughts and prayers are out to his family. But I know you played college, and just in your tenure with the Warriors, have you been around anything remotely close to that, to where like just time stops because somebody's hurt?
Durant Achilles during the finals was brutal. I mean, I was crying. I couldn't stop crying. I'd do my press conference. I couldn't even hold it together because I knew that all he wanted to do was get back and play. And that was then in Klay's ACL, Klay's Achilles.
Man.
When I got that call. Now, don't anybody listening think I'm comparing that to that.
right.
You asked me what I
No,
did.
yeah, I did.
I what that was like nothing I've ever experienced. That is, I know that there's stories in basketball of cardiac arrest. Hank Gathers would be the most one that I would recall because I was near the age. I was probably a little younger, and I knew that team, and I'm sure you guys did too. Knew who he was, but you can't. I mean, something like that happens. It does. It's just it's sports. It's life stuff, right? I mean, it's just life stuff. And then you think about what that does for obviously the family. I mean, just picturing his mom. I heard his mom went down there and got in the ambulance with him. Just stuff. That's not, nobody, I think, has experienced much of that in their life. I don't care how long you've been around professional sports. And when you see the way, for people listening, if you want to understand what a team is like, or look at the teammates, because those are the ones that feel it the most and the best, because they're the closest to that individual and they're playing that sport. And when I saw all the players and how their facial expressions and what they were doing and praying, that was very profound. That was very, for me, that was an emotional thing, because those are the ones that are the closest to it. And people think that this competition and players hate each other and they're trying to hurt each other. When you're around sports, and maybe it was more that way in the past. Players didn't fraternize and they really didn't like each other. I think it's evolved into like, we're out here, we're all trying to win, yes, but we're not trying to hurt anybody. Nobody's trying to hurt anybody, and not what happened with him, but in any sport, any injury. And so that one was just that's one I don't think any of us are going to forget. And hopefully he makes it through. And from what I've heard, it seems like it's trending okay. But one of the scariest things you'll ever have to witness.
Bob Myers joining us. It's the Executive Show on 95.7 The Game. Let me throw you a little bit of a softball here. Kevon Looney. We have a little joke here in the station about Kevon Looney now that we've gotten to know him. He's the kind of guy who'll stop on the highway and help you fix a flat tire. He's the kind of guy that if you need change, he'll give you change. He just does everything, and you just kind of expect him. You went to UCLA. I don't know what your relationship was, if anything, before he was drafted. But how gratifying is it to see a guy like that grow as a player and as a person? And then give me something about Looney that maybe nobody knows, because he's you can tell he's so cool, but he's still a little understated.
That's what makes him cool, is that part. He's one of those guys that he doesn't jump out at you personality-wise, playing-wise, clearly. But he's one of those people where, when I was talking to Peter Guber one time, he's obviously in the movie business. He said, you put Gene Hackman in any movie, the movie's better, meaning as a supporting actor. I would say the same to Looney. You put Looney on any team, and the team's better. you don't leave the movie going, oh my gosh, you don't leave the game. And obviously the other night, him winning was so awesome for him and our team to see him be the one that made the game winning shot. But those people are often only appreciated in hindsight, unfortunately. But by the fact he's been with us for so long, I think people are finally, fans, appreciating him in the right manner. Because, yes, taken for granted, for sure. Organizationally, we took him for granted. But he kept his poise. He kept his work ethic. He battled through injuries. And the thing that he has now that isn't anything I've given him, it's the respect of his teammates. That's what you want when you play on a team, more than anything. The respect of your teammates, the respect of your peers. And he's earned that. And that's more important than whatever I say or recognition he gets, is that internally, this is a team, this is a place with a lot of guys that cast big shadows. I mean, Curry's deservedly, he can cast a shadow over the whole organization, and he's one of those rare ones that is generational. But then you've got beyond him, Klay and Draymond and even Andre and other guys. And so it takes a minute for people to get to Looney. But I will say internally, he's at the forefront of everybody's mind. And Steve will not hesitate to tell you how much he loves coaching him. And so you guys would love him. I think you've probably had him on.
Yeah.
Every team would love to have him. He's just one of those guys.
Hey, Bob, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And probably, unfortunately, we'll talk to you in 2 weeks. You guys are on a 4-game losing.
Be safe out there driving, too, Bob. Be safe, man.
Yeah, man, you too.
All right. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it, man.
Take care.